Welcome to Enugu Kwenu this Wednesday, of course, on Afia TV. And joining me this evening is the CEO of Educare, Mr. Alex Onyia. Good evening, Mr. Onyia. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, good evening, Nathalie. It's a pleasure to be here again.
It's great to have me. This is the first time I'm interviewing you, but
That's the first time.
It's the first time. So I do have a lot of questions, and thank you for honoring our invite.
You're welcome.
So I'll start with the question. And people think of this. They might not outrightly say it, but whenever you type something on social media, they know. And they think about it. They think you're an aggressor. What's your response?
No, I'm actually not. You can say I'm very calm. So maybe how I write, or maybe how I try to communicate what I'm trying to say. And sometimes it needs to actually look a bit hard so that people can understand it. When I say there is crisis, people need to understand that there is actually crisis. I don't want to make it look as if we're trying to play around words. So maybe that's why.
Yes, the things you say in a matter-of-fact style. You don't say it's alleged, or it's claimed, or it's purported. You say, this is happening.
Yeah, so the reason is because before I make alterations or make statements, I take a lot of time to gather all my facts, be very sure in most cases, then before I draft statements.
So how do you gather those facts? How do you get that clarity that makes you make those bold statements?
Yes, I play a lot with data. I mean, my whole business is all around data. So whenever I want to say something, or maybe there's something that sparked my interest, I take my time to do a lot of findings. Once I'm very clear, then I can make those bold statements. Mm-hmm. And I'm always correct most of the time.
Well, it's great that you mentioned your system and data, because we're going to get into that. But first, we want to know about the man, Alex Onyia. Who is Alex Onyia?
Who I am? I think for me, I'm more of a business person, actually. So I run Educare. Educare, fortunately, we have, in one arm of our business, we have over 2 million students, 600,000 parents, and we run with schools across different regions. Like most of the top schools in Nigeria use Educare. And we have like another place like Iraq, or most of the other top international schools use Educare, and some other African countries too. So basically we build like an infrastructure that supports schools. That is the business arm of me. Then the purpose arm is I have seen my country. I have seen decay. And it makes absolute no sense to ignore it further. So I think it's important that we start taking well-calculated steps to start fixing this. We have over 20 million out-of-school children in our country. Do you know what it means? Do you know what 20 million in human numbers are? As big as the stadium here in Enugu, probably not up to 10,000. You know what it means to have 10,000 people in a stadium? So do you know what now it means to have 20 million out-of-school children? So that's why we have to say, you know what, my life purpose will have to be to fix this gap. So let's see how we can get a lot more children back in school, which automatically fix our society.
Have you ever worked for anyone before in your early life, or have you always been standalone? Have you always had your own business?
I did my internship in Nigerian breweries. I think I did it for like 4 months. Then I work a bit, just few months in Lekki British. Then I just realized that no, we have to do this.
At what point did you realize no, that you couldn't do it anymore?
Yes, I realized I couldn't do it anymore. I think at some point working at Lekki British, that was even when I saw one of the most critical problems that I tried to solve. I said, no, I'm going to solve this problem. And I met the owner there, Ms. Laja. I'm going to solve this problem, but you can't pay me. So I have to license you my software and then give it. So they were my first customer. And up to today, they're still my customer.
I like how you mentioned you can't pay me because you understand the value of what you have to deliver. So Walk us through your wealth building journey. How did you amass your wealth? Do you consider yourself a wealthy man?
Actually, I don't like to talk about money.
But we have to.
We can in your numbers, but I just don't like to talk about money. I feel that money is just a tool.
Yeah.
So when I have 100 billion or when I have 1,000, I just say that use money for what you need, if I forget about it. So I don't really place anything around money. So that's why if you notice, whatever I do, you will never hear me talk about money.
But you, Mr. Onyia, you have created a lot of social capital.
Yeah.
Essentially, you have impacted so many lives through your activities, your advocacy, and the systems that you've developed. So we understand that beyond money, you have also created social wealth, shared collective wealth. But many people would want to be inspired by how you are able to rise up this trajectory, that to the point that you can look someone in the face and say, you can't pay me.
Yes, so one thing is that personally, I'm always a very clear person. I've never been confused in my life. So I think that's one of my natural strengths. So I'm not a confused person. If I tell you something, if I project on something, I'm always very clear. I may not really know how to get to it, but I know the end from the beginning. So where I need a little bit of help is at the point of trying to build it. So for instance, I've always wanted to be a billionaire at 19. I mean, I tried to follow Bill Gates' pattern. Then,
So Bill Gates inspires you. Is he still your model?
Business-wise to a point, but I mean, his personality these days, I don't really align with it anymore.
So does that confuse you?
Not really confused. I mix it. You know, right now I have access to a lot more people. I look at what Elon Musk does. I look at what Mr. Bean does. I look at what Bill Gates. Look at what Larry Ellison does. I look at what other people do. And I pick different parts of things. So nobody inspires me now as a person. Right. I pick what I need from a lot of people.
That's great.
Yeah, so that's basically what I do. So for me, how did that rise? I mean, from school, I learned, one thing I know is that whatever you do, learn a skill. So a skill puts you at a safe place. So I learned how to write programs. I learned it very early. So I was writing software. Even while I was in school, in my second year, if you know what, I made 1 million then.
Where did you attend school?
I worked, 2007. I made 1 million then, and that 1 million was a lot of money then in school. Because I remember then when we go to eat, like the real meal is like 200 naira. And then my pocket money then was like 10,000 every month. So, and I made 1 million, I was making a lot of money. I was working remotely for different companies. I was building software.
So what school was that at the time?
No, UNN.
UNN. Okay, yeah. I also attended UNN. So yes, I guess that's Lion and Lioness, right? Yes. So it's a great one. And as you still didn't answer my question.
No, I'm still answering it. So I built around it. I've kept working on, building software, making a lot of money. But at some point, I just told myself, you know what? I can't achieve what I want to achieve building contracts. So we need to be able to build a focus, right? Because as at then, we wrote the software that powers the audit system for Ministry of Power. We built Pronov, we built a lot of things, and we built a software for school. So I told my team, you know what, we can't be rich by building contracts. It comes today, it doesn't come tomorrow. So let's pick a focus, and we picked education. So let's build something that nobody have ever seen. Before then, I also did blogging on the side. I ran a page that Babies Are Beautiful. At some point, I had like 8.7 million followers. At some point, I was making almost like 100K every month, $100,000 every month. And I made that money for like 2 years. So, and until Facebook took me out. Yeah, so I was using my money to fund the development. My team size then was like 46. So I didn't really lack money building Educare, which I did. If I didn't have that source of funds, it could have been almost impossible.
I mean, I did a lot of digging into your biography and how you emerged, Babies and Beautiful, then to Educare. I mean, your journey is really interesting.
Yeah.
But then I have to ask you this question. At what points in your career do you consider was the most defining moment? What was the most defining moment for you?
I have different defining moments, but one thing I noticed is that when I face like very difficult times, that's when I have the biggest success. I remember in 2017, the day Facebook took me out, that one of the days I cried because 100,000 to zero. And Educare was still trying to pick up. And I just told myself, you know what? I'm going to put my 2 legs. I learned one lesson. You can never build your future in another person's infrastructure. So I said, you know what? I'm going to own everything and we are going to do it. So I have to just, you know what? Let me focus on this. That was when Educare grew at a scale. Because I remember then I had a deal with, they offered, GT Bank offered to buy us 600 million, which we rejected. Because initially we had a deal of let's onboard 20,000 of their schools. That made us even re-engineer our software. The deal didn't work, but it also made me understand that, okay, I think we have a lot of value. So those moments, that time that I lost the biggest thing in my life then, made me to be able to grow so well. So I think COVID also was a very strong time for us. It made us succeed at a scale I never have seen before.
All right. So you've stressed this year 2017, and even in your bio it's there as well. But for many Nigerians, one of the things you did that even made you more popular than you were then, and probably a year before, was with JAMB. Mr. Onyia, I put it to you that you made Ishak Oloyede, the JAMB registrar, cry on national TV. Let's remind ourselves with that video, just briefly, of when you made him apologize to Nigerians. This was an examination body that was so sure that they were right and the pupils were wrong, the students were wrong, but you made him say this. Take a look.
Explanation I've given as the truth on this matter. I apologize and take full responsibility, not just in words. I want to say a big thank you to all of you, and may God bless us all.
Thank you. Thank you.
And at this moment, Nigerians knew that you are more than just Educare CEO. You were actually a change maker. Some might even say a freedom fighter. What's your
So I have a very strong philosophy in life. Whatever you allow will always continue, but wherever you stop dies. And for me, we've experienced gaps for so many years. I mean, Jambas at the time, everything looks really big, right? But I feel that anybody can make mistakes. If countries like America can make mistakes, who is anybody in Nigeria? You get my point? When the results started coming out, of course, I have a lot of data. A lot of people use our platform, that's exams or Educare.school, to prepare for those exams, right? And I have seen their pattern, and we also power a lot of schools. So when I started noticing them complaining, you see superstars scoring 160 and the rest, I had to do a lot of data comparison. We did a lot of work, and we just realized that somebody that's been doing practices, having like 300, 330, and all of a sudden you are scoring 160. And the pattern is not just against one person, we're having it in thousands. So it was very clear and obvious that there's something wrong. And it's not just it's wrong, it's something wrong with their system. That was when I had to say, you know what, guys, JAMB, you people are wrong. And, you know, I didn't want to follow through. I'm not a noisemaker. So immediately I said it, I had to engage our lawyers. You know what, let's first of all see if we can get the Freedom of Information Act. Let's these children, if you say they are not wrong, let them see their mark sheet. Because anybody that writes an exam has at least an idea of what they wrote. If I can't see my mark sheet, let me see that I failed, and I'll go back and cry. So immediately I had to put it up. I think they at some point discovered that yes, there was a problem. And then we had to do a lot of back and forth. I had to send one of my lead engineers to go there to review their system. And every of the day we now agree that, you know what, let's just rewrite this exam. So when we wrote this exam, they also remarked the same script. So after the rewritten exam, we now did data comparison. And we now realized that, okay, so that is even when we understand the structure of even their system. Yeah, which we advise them. I think you should have to actually improve on those.